Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Tilley. I'm the area agent based out of the Vernon James Center. And what I hold in my hand here is a 360 canopy spray accessory. Sprayer accessories have somewhat been popular over the past 3 years. This so this product here is actually coming out of the Midwest, and it has been advertised rather heavily. And there's a lot of growers asking questions, you know, is it worth it? Are we seeing any type of benefit? This product here claims that better coverage, greater yield. And so Rod and I pulled our resources together, and we've got a plot here to our right hand side looking at the fungicide placement at 15 gallons, 10 gallons, and 5 gallons to the acre, using headline at R1 stage. Now, first of all, be aware that the label does not recommend 5 gallons to the acre, okay? We just did that because we wanted to see a bare minimum and to truly test this product to see if we're getting better coverage. And as of right now, the label for headline does say 10 gallons minimum. And if I was a betting man, I'd say any grower here putting out fungicides, you're not putting anything more than 10 gallons on, because you don't want to spend the time putting anything else on there. You want to put 10 gallons in and roll with it, okay? So if you'll see this product right here, the 360 canopy, if we turn it around, you'll see 4 nozzles here. The top nozzle here is for our hose coming down from the boom. And of course, you've got this pattern here, and it's supposed to form a 360 shot, okay? And I called the company, wanted to get their thoughts on it. They claim that if you run it, you want that unit to be about 6 inches above the ear. So about right there, and it runs through that canopy, just like that right there. It attaches rather easily to a 6000, 6500, 67, or even your newer models like your 4700 John Deeres. It's just very simple, snap on, ready to go. So a very user friendly. And so let's see what the results were. Here you go, sir. Would you like to hold that for me? Thank you. So let's see what the results were. Our test looked at the 360 versus the traditional over the top spray. And so this is what we found. Now, first of all, I took yellow Syngenta moisture cards, and I placed one on the ear leaf, and then I placed another one at the second ear leaf from above the ear, and the second leaf below the ear, okay? So it'd be this one right here, actually. And so this is what we found. In 2018, first thing you can notice is this clear pattern. Thank you, Rod. This clear pattern, folks, volume matters, okay? If you're putting out 10 gallons, if you are putting out a fungicide and you're putting out 10 gallons, you do not need to be going any less than that. Make sure that you're putting out 10 gallons minimum. However, we strongly recommend 15 to 20 gallons to the acre. The more volume you get out there, the better coverage you're going to get. And sure enough, looking at this 15 gallons, you can see that we're almost getting 50% coverage on this upper leaf right here. Hey, that's great. But if you look closely, notice how suddenly, I mean, it drops significantly, okay? Notice we're getting close to 15% coverage on that ear leaf, which is one of the most important leaves on that plant. As that ear forms, that's your longest, widest, that's your biggest leaf on your corn plant, and you want to make sure you get coverage on that. And then of course, as we drop down into the canopy, you can tell that we're getting even less coverage, even close to 10%, maybe 12% here in this graph. If you will, Rod, flip it over. So what do we get for this year, okay, for 2019 coverage? Well, notice that we still see that same pattern, which is telling us that volume is critical, okay? However, notice here that we were only getting 25% coverage at 15 gallons to the acre for the upper leaf here. And why is that? Well, last year's crop was taller, had a thicker canopy. I think we were able just to make better contact. This year, believe it or not, these plants, even though they look, you know, nice and tall, they did not overlap. Those leaves do not overlap. and a lot of our droplets that we were spraying directly through the center just fell straight through, okay? And so simply put, this year we did not have very good contact. All right, Rod, I'm going to give you another one here. So you've seen the pattern then for the for a standard spray over the top. How did our 360s do? Well, notice here once again the same trend. Doesn't matter if you're using this 360 canopy cover or not, volume is still a factor. You've still got to use the same volume recommended for over the top. So just because this is a new product that's supposed to be better placement, notice here our volume is high volume is still recommended. And notice here though, you can see it first thing. Notice how that number 2 leaf above the ear saw less than probably 3% coverage. That's the same concept as not seeing any coverage at all. Simply put, if you look at this right here, this nozzle right here is pointing up. We were using a nozzle that created a smaller droplet size. To some degree, we were trying to make a drift, you know, so we can get it all whirled up through the canopy. But 360 actually has nozzles that they recommend. They want a heavier droplet size. But even if you use a heavier droplet size, you got that droplet shooting up, straight up in the air. It's fighting gravity. And guess what? I don't think if I had used those nozzles that they had recommended, I still think I would have got same coverage. I really do. And so therefore, one of the problems that you're going to have is that this will not cover the top of the canopy. Now, that leads to this next question. How important is it to cover the top of that canopy for disease? Well, the answer to that is it all depends on what disease you get. Okay, southern rust, they can form, well, let me take a step back. Some of them, they can flare up from the bottom. They can work their way up. Northern blight can actually come in through the top of the canopy. Southern rust can actually come in through the on the bottom of the canopy or top, and can actually form underneath the leaf. Okay, so a lot of ways for our for that actual pathogen to actually catch on through the canopy. So if you look at the 2019 data, if you can see here, really seeing the same trend, but notice how this 15 gallon really didn't get good coverage, which is leading us to our next question. What is a good number for leaf coverage? What's a good number? And I don't know the answer to that. So I got on the phone, talked with Dr. Lindsay Thiessen, and I asked, what is a number that you would recommend? What is something that you want to see as a researcher if you were making that recommendation? And she said, we really want to see 20% or greater coverage. Okay, folks, notice this right here, that for this year we just did not get good coverage at all. Okay, and so overall, let me switch over to yield here real quick before I give you my final thoughts. If you will, Rod, let's go to the multiple. You flip it over, there you go. And so this is what the results showed. Of course, our 15 gallons with the 360, hey, we came out on top. Probably made some money with that last year, okay? But notice even still at 10 gallon, 15 gallon over the top, even 5 gallon to 10 gallon 360, notice there was really no significant differences there. And of course, we saw this nice trend though, where even our check that saw no fungicide at all had the lowest yield. If you will, Rod, flip it over. But ran those stats just a little bit more, and as you can see here overall with the 360 undercover versus the overtop spray, as you can see we only had 1 bushel increase with the 360. Okay, last year would have been a good year to spray a fungicide. You would have seen a yield increase of probably up to 15 bushels. I've already heard Ron's talk. He said 12. All right, so what Ron was seeing and what I saw last year was right on point, and you would have probably made some money last year if you had put on a fungicide. Now, saying that though, let me take a step back. If you look at some of the work that's been coming out of the Midwest, if you look through the literature, it is mainly agreed upon that probably 7 out of every 10 fungicide applications are going to see a yield increase. So those are pretty good odds. However, digging deeper, if you look at that data, only 25% actually see an economic yield boost, okay? So sure, we're seeing yield increases with the fungicide application, but the economics speak a different story, okay? And the odds are not in your favor. So just keep that in mind if you are thinking about putting out a fungicide. Overall, what's my thoughts on this? I would say for $750 a row, it's not worth it. It's not worth your money, okay? However, so now, is there a place for this product though? Absolutely. I think there is a place for it. Rod and I plan on doing a little bit of work next year, hopefully looking at stink bug. Stink bug is a big issue right now for corn. I've already spoken with Dominic about this. We know what material should be used. We know the rate, but work needs to be done with placement and timing, especially around the V14 stage and around the ear stage, okay? And so, is it possible to use a product like this to get better placement and to hit a stink bug that's needed? Absolutely. Sugarcane aphid for sorghum. I think it's possible for us to take a riser like this, drop this unit down low to maybe hover 6 inches off the ground. Sugarcane aphid and sorghum, they live up underneath that leaf. I think this is a good product that can get that. Okay, so I do think this product has a place, but as far as fungicide placements, I don't think it's worth your time. So, anybody have any questions about this product here? Very good. I'm going to turn it over to Rod, and we're going to talk about the next spray accessory and talking about nitrogen placement.